everyone, I am CA Vibhuti Narang. Welcome to our channel Voxcop Academy. In today's video, I'll be discussing about the TDS sections as well as the applicable rates and some conceptual clarity on those respective sections of TDS. These sections are applicable for the financial year 1st April 2021 to 31st March 2022. I also have produced a series in the same sections and rates, which was for earlier financial year, not for this financial year. Now, I'll be discussing about all the non-salary related sections in detail in this video. And for the salary in detail, we'll come up with a payroll series in which we'll discuss the TDS on salary part. So the first section in TDS is section 192, which cover TDS on salaries. Now this section is applicable only when an employee is on payroll. Whenever an employee is employed under a payroll basis, then this section is applicable. And the deductee is the person whose TDS is supposed to be deducted, and the rate of TDS is the applicable slab rate. Now deductee in this case in section 192 is either a resident or a non-resident. In short, he or she must be an employee of the company and on payroll basis. Now when we talk about the rate of TDS applicable, we say it is as per the slab rate. If we talk about this financial year, from this financial year what is happening is we have two options for the slab rates. One, if we are claiming deductions, and the second, if we are not claiming deductions. So if the employee is claiming deductions, then in that case the earlier slab rate means up to 2,50,000 0%, from 250 to 5 lakh 5%, from 5 lakh to 10 lakh 20%, and greater than 10 lakh 30%. It means if your income is coming in this slab rate, the tax will be charged accordingly. But if the employee is not claiming deductions, then the slab rate is a little bit different, which says up to 2,50,000 income, then 0%. If the income is from 250 to 5 lakh, then 5%. From 5 lakh to 7 lakh 50,000, 10%. From 7 lakh 50,000 to 10 lakh 15%. From 10 lakh to 12 lakh 50,000, 20%. From 12 lakh 50,000 to 15 lakh 25%, and 15 lakh and above if the income is there, then the tax rate is 30%. Now, the next section is section 192A, which is TDS on premature withdrawal from employee provident fund. So, if from employee provident fund there is a premature withdrawal. Premature withdrawal means there is a condition to be fulfilled. The amount from the PF account, the EPF account, should not be withdrawn before 5 years of service. In every section now which I'll be discussing, you'll see 5 things which will be common in every section. The first thing is the deductor. The second is deductee. Third is the rate of TDS. Fourth is rate of TDS if the deductee has not provided his PAN. And the fifth, any threshold limit or any condition or any other remarks if I have to discuss over that. So first thing, the deductor is the person or the trustees of EPF scheme or any authorized person under the EPF scheme. The deductee means the person whose TDS is deducted is either the resident or non-resident. Rate in this case is 10%. And rate, if PAN is not available, is at the maximum marginal rate. Now what is maximum marginal rate? Maximum marginal rate is the highest tax rate in your slab rate, which in our case is 30%. Adding the highest surcharge rate, that is 37% as of now, and adding 4% cess to it. So whatever amount you get from this is the maximum marginal rate on which the TDS is liable to be deducted if section 192A is applicable and the deductee has not provided his PAN. Now the threshold limit is 50,000. See, in threshold limit, every case it may happen, it can be on per annum basis also, or it can be in lump sum payment also. So if the withdrawal is on a lump sum payment basis and it is more than 50,000, then section 192A is attracted. Now the conditions which needs to be fulfilled is that the amount from EPF have been withdrawn before completion of 5 years of service. If the amount is withdrawn after 5 years of service, then this section is not applicable. What are the components we need to consider in case of lump sum payment? So employer's contribution is included. Employee contribution is not included. right? Similarly, interest on employer contribution is included and interest on employee contribution is also included. We have to just check if that component is forming the part of salary or not. So if it is coming under the part of salaries, it is subject to section 192A. If that component is not forming part of salary, it is not covered under section 192A. For example, Ms. Raghavi is an employee of ABC Limited since 1st April 2015. She resigned on 31st March 2018. That is, she was into service for 3 years and has withdrawn the amount of 1,20,000 being balanced in her EPF account. Is TDS to be deducted? So the condition which needs to be fulfilled, that the service is less than 5 years, that is fulfilled. So the amount is also exceeding rupees 50,000. So TDS at the rate 10% will be deducted. Coming on to the next section, section 193, which is TDS on interest on security. Deductor is any person, deductee is resident of India, rate is 10%, if PAN not provided, rate is 20%. Now from this series onwards to the maximum sections covered in the TDS, you'll get the rate for if non-provision of a PAN card, the PAN card is not yet provided, the rate will be 20%, but mostly it is 20%. In some cases it is 5% or MMR. MMR only one section. MMR means maximum marginal rate, that is covered only in one section, and rest for all sections in maximum cases it is 20%. Threshold limit. So in case of debentures issued by listed companies, threshold limit is 5,000. Now 5,000 means if the threshold limit is crossed, for example, the interest received in case of debentures issued by listed companies, the interest is 6,000. That doesn't mean that on 1,000 rupees TDS is to be deducted. No, on the whole 6,000 the TDS will be deducted. So once the limit is crossed, the TDS is applicable on the whole amount. In case of 8% saving taxable bonds 2003, then the threshold limit is 10,000, and in case of 7.5% savings taxable bond 2018, the threshold limit is 10,000. No deduction in following cases. So if interest is payable on central government or state government securities, TDS is not to be deducted. Similarly, interest paid to LIC or general insurance company or any other insurer, then also TDS is not to be deducted. Next section is section 194A, which is TDS on interest other than interest on securities. We did a section 193 which says TDS on interest on securities. This section is covering TDS on interest other than interest on securities, means other than those securities covered under section 193. So in this case, the deductor is either a company or a partnership firm or individual or HUF having turnover 1 crore in last previous year, or receipts in case of professionals of more than 50 lakh. Now this is the limit I have already discussed in the basics video also. So whenever this combination is there, the whole series will be continued. Means a company will be there, a partnership firm, individual if into business, previous year turnover 1 crore and above, if into profession 50 lakh in the previous year, the gross receipts. Deductee is resident, rate of TDS is 10%, rate of TDS is PAN not available is 20%. Now what I need to tell you in this is, see, if we talk about section 194A and there is a person Mr. A. So for sake of convenience, I have taken a deductee or a deductor. We'll discuss about it now. A person is Mr. A and interest can be of two types. Either it can be your income, either it can be an expense. It means either you can receive interest or you can pay interest. Now what happens is, if you are receiving interest, first case, you can say it is situation number 1 that we are receiving the interest. Interest can be received through fixed deposit interest or through saving bank interest or any other financial institution interest. Now what happens is, if you are receiving interest of rupees 40,000 in case of an individual which is below the age 60 years and 50,000 in case of individual whose age is 60 years or above. So this is the threshold limit. There will be no TDS deduction under section 194A. But if your saving bank interest is there, then TDS is not supposed to be deducted. In short, 194A TDS will be deducted only in case of fixed deposit, and threshold limit is 40,000 for individuals below 60 years of age and threshold limit is 50,000 and above for individual 60 years and above of age. In this case, see, the banker is the person who is liable to deduct. So banker will be the deductor. Interest is paid to Mr. A. He is receiving the interest. So he will be the deductee. Reverse the situation. If Mr. A has to pay the interest. Now, if he has to pay the interest, he has to either pay to the bank or financial institution for any kind of loan he has taken from them. So in that case, this section says that interest is not applicable. So when interest is not applicable, it means, TDS is not applicable. So if TDS is not applicable in this case, then no liability at the time of deducting or paying the interest, TDS to be deducted. If the interest is paid to other than bank or financial institutions, then yes, TDS is to be deducted and threshold limit is 5,000. For example, Mr. A is paying interest to a friend or relative. He must have taken loan for his business or profession or any other XYZ thing. He requires some funds in the business and he has taken loan from his friends or relatives, and he is paying interest on that amount raised to the friends or relatives. In that case, the threshold limit comes out to be 5,000 and he has to pay the interest. Now the situation reverse, Mr. A will become the deductor and the friend or relative will become the deductee. So this is something I taught to you in a simple language to make the concepts more clear. So if you are receiving from fixed deposits, cooperative society or post office, then threshold limit is 10%. Threshold limit 40,000 per annum and 50,000 per annum in case of senior citizen. From saving bank or current bank, any interest is there, then no TDS is liable to be deducted. See, we have an FD of rupees 6 lakh done with State Bank of India at the rate 7.5% for 1 year. Discuss TDS implication. So the interest paid is, now this is FD and interest will be paid by the bank to us. So 6 lakh into 7.5% turns out to be 45,000, and we are normal individual, means it is not specified that we are a senior citizen or not. So the annual cutoff is 40,000. TDS will be deducted. So what we will receive is 40,500. Now if interest is an expense, so if you are paying to the bank or financial institution, no TDS is to be deducted. From other than bank or financial institution, TDS at the rate 10% and threshold limit is 5,000 per annum. The next section is section 194B, which is TDS on winning from lottery or crossword puzzle or card game or any other game. So the deductor is the one who is responsible to pay under this game scheme, and deductee is any person. There is a flat rate of 30%. Now there is no chances of providing PAN number or such kind of situation. So the rate of TDS is 30% when you are earning something from a game. So you may or may not provide the PAN number. So in that case, the rate is flat 30%. Already the rate is at a very higher side. So there is no case if PAN is not provided. Threshold limit is 10,000 and the consideration can be in cash or kind. So let's suppose you went for a KBC game, Kaun Banega Crorepati, and you have earned something from that game. So when you receive an amount under any game, any reality show income or any XYZ income, any from state government or any other game you were a participant into, and you earn certain amount of income from that game. It can be through lottery, crossword puzzle, card game or any other game. So when you have received the amount, the TDS at the rate 30% should be deducted before giving you the cash amount, or if it is in kind, then the TDS has to be deducted. Now what happens if the consideration is in kind? For example, there is a car which you received from any reality show and the car price is 8 lakh. So you got two options in hand. First option is to treat the car as exclusive of tax, means treating the whole amount of car as exclusive of tax and directly pay 30%. Definitely when the amount is more than 10,000, the TDS is liable to be deducted. Second option is you to treat the car as inclusive of tax and you make the changes accordingly. So what we have done is 8 lakh divided by 100 minus the tax rate. So 30% is the tax rate. So it will be 8 lakh divided by 70 into 100 minus the original price, because this is what we get before TDS deduction and this is what the actual amount is. So we have to pay TDS of 342,857. This is what the example was also about. Fine. So this is the two options which I just discussed. It can be either in cash or exclusive of cash. The next section is same as section 194B. The name is 194BP, which is TDS on winning from horse races. Deductor is again any person responsible to pay, and deductee is any person. Rate is 30%, threshold limit same 30%. So there is no just change, only the changes of the title, and a separate section is dedicated in this regard. The next section is section 194C. This is TDS on payment to contractors, and quite a very important section also. The deductor, again that series, company, partnership, individual HUF having turnover from business 1 crore and above, and from professional receipts 50 lakh and above in the previous year. Deductee is any resident. The confusion in this section arises in case of rates as well as threshold limit. For the rate of TDS, if PAN not given, it is 20%. So just for clarity purpose, the rate in case of 194C is like, if the deductee is individual or HUF, the rate will be 1%. If the deductee is company, firm, AOP, BOI, the rate is 2%. Right. So how this individuality is ascertained is from the fourth digit of PAN. So if the fourth digit of PAN is, let's suppose, P, then it is a proprietor firm, and under 194C it is individual and 1% will be deducted. If the fourth letter is F, then it is firm, and then 2% TDS to be deducted. And if it is C, then it is a company, and again in case of a company, 2% TDS deducted. If I talk about the threshold limit is, I'll take an example in this case. For example, you are running a company and you want to advertise for a particular product in an advertising agency. Let's suppose in Times of India, you want to publish an ad for your product. Now, when you went to publish that ad, the agency said that the ad cost you 60,000 rupees. So this is a one-time contract you are undertaking with the company. There will be no other contract with the company. So whenever a single contract is entered, the threshold limit is 30,000. So the amount should exceed 30,000 for the TDS liable to be deducted. And if the case is not of a single contract, for example, you took a service of security guard for your company's security services. Now you are not going to pay annually to that company. What you will do is per month, let's suppose you are paying 10,000 per month to the agency. Now in the year, the total contract turned out to be 1,20,000. So if you talk about the partial payments or not a lump sum payment, in breaks the payment is given, then aggregate in year the limit is 1 lakh. I just make you revise once again. If the rate is 1% in case of an individual HUF, 2% in case of a company, firm, AOP or BOI. AOP, association of person, BOI, body of individual. Threshold limit for a single contract 30,000 per annum, and in aggregate in a year will be 1 lakh. What per annum word better is with 1 lakh, not with 30,000. Right, so this is what is discussed in the chat also. Types of service is quite a theoretical thing. Let's go on to the example. Amber Developers Limited took advertising contract service for an ad in Times of India. The bill amount is 2,50,000. So it is exceeding rupees 30,000, and Amber Developers Limited is given, it's a company, so 2% TDS is liable to be deducted. Similarly, if a loan is taken from Sohail and Company, let's suppose you have taken a contract from a security service of 10,000 per month. So the aggregate limit is into 12, 1,26,000, and the threshold limit is 1 lakh per annum. So in this case, TDS is required to be deducted depending upon the type of deductee. If it is individual, then 1%. Ideally, 1,26,000 into 1% will not be done. On per month basis, TDS is liable to be deducted. If we talk about transport charges under 194C, what happens in case of a transport is, if it is a passenger transport, then the normal TDS rate 1% or 2% under 194C is applicable. But if it is a goods transport agency, then if it is having less than 10 trucks, then no TDS is liable to be deducted under this section. And if the trucks are 10 or more, then the same rate 1% or 2% is liable to be deducted. Next section is section 194D, which is TDS on insurance commission. Deductor is any person, deductee is any resident. Rate is for other than company deductees 5%, for domestic companies the rate is 10%. If PAN not available, rate is 20%. Threshold limit is 15,000. So this lump sum limit 15,000. And the important note is that reinsurance is not covered under section 194D. So if any reinsurance service is given from one insurance company to another insurance company, that part is not covered under TDS section 194D. Next is section 194DA, which is TDS on payment in respect of life insurance policy. So if any life insurance policy amount is paid, the deductor is any person, deductee is any resident. 5% on the income part, and rate of TDS if PAN not available is 20%. Threshold limit is 1 lakh. No TDS if an amount is exempt under section 1010D. What is section 1010D is exemption only if premium up to 20% of sum assured. So if the premium is paid up to 20% of sum assured, then section 1010D exemption is available. What is said is that no TDS is deducted if it is covered under section 1010D. If insurance is not covered under this part, then TDS is liable to be deducted. For example, Miss Pooja is resident, received on her maturity the whole amount of 380. The sum assured on policy was 2 lakh. Policy is taken on 1st of November 2010. Policy annual premium paid is 45,000. Actually, if you check for section 1010D, the premium should be up to 20%. So 40,000 is the ideal premium which should be there, and actually she is paying more than 20%. So 45,000 is greater than 40,000. So 194D is applicable, and on the total amount received, which is more than the threshold limit. What is the threshold limit in this case? The threshold limit is 1 lakh. So we are receiving 3,80,000, and as the amount is more than 1 lakh, 5% TDS will be deducted. Next section is section 194EE, which is TDS on payment in respect of deposit under National Savings Scheme. So the deductor is the one who is responsible to pay under NSS. Deductee is any resident or non-resident. Rate of TDS is 10% and threshold limit is 2,500. No TDS where payment made to legal heirs. Section 194F, TDS on payments on account of repurchase of units from mutual funds or unit trust of India. So deductor is any person who is responsible to pay amount under section 80 CCB, and deductee is any person. Rate is 20%. Section 194G is TDS on commission on sale of lottery tickets. So in case of sale of lottery tickets, deductor is any person, deductee any resident, non-resident. Rate is 5%, not PAN available then 20%. Threshold limit is 15,000, that is on per annum basis. The next section, this is quite important section 194H, which is TDS on commission or brokerage. So deductor is that whole series, company, partnership, individual, HUF. And deductee is resident. Rate is 5%. If PAN not available, 20%. Threshold limit is 15,000 per annum. Now, in this case, there is one typical thing to be noted is TDS commission or treatment of commission paid to an employee. There are instances where the commission is paid to employee, and if the employee is on payroll basis, then that commission part is covered under section 192, and that will be taken into payroll processing part. But sometimes the employees which are hired on contract basis, and to just motivate them or to make them sit on their job or be in their position for a longer time despite of being not there on payroll basis, incentives are given or commissions are given to those employees. So if that case is there, then the section will be 194H and it will not be 192. So Mr. Aditya is running a manufacturing unit at Sonipat. He had turnover of 1.5 CR in last financial year, means he's an individual. His turnover is exceeding 1 CR. So he is liable to deduct TDS. He has paid 35,000 as purchase commission to Mr. Arun, being his purchase agent. So it says some employee who is hired on a contract basis, and what are the TDS implications. So as the TDS is more than 15,000, so 5% TDS is liable to be deducted. Next section is section 194I, which is TDS on rent. Now TDS On rent, if any rent is paid to a deductee who is a resident and deductor who is a company, partnership, individual, HUF, turnover once a year and gross receipts 50 lakh and above. Now, rate of TDS is 2% in case the rent is paid for plant and machinery and 10% in case of rent paid for land, building, furniture and fixture. 20% if TDS if PAN is not available. Threshold limit is 2,40,000. Now, this 2,40,000 is in aggregate. So rent will include everything, whether it will include lease, sublease, tenancy or any other agreement or arrangement for the use of either separately or together. For land, building or land apparent thereto, the rate is 10%. For plant, machinery and equipments, the rate is 2%. For furniture and fixture, the rate is 10%. Rent includes subletting also. So TDS on deposits, you must have seen any rent agreement in front of you or any two person who deal in renting part. There is a rent to be paid on per month basis. There is also a security deposit to be paid between the landlord and the tenant. It can be a 3 months deposit, it can be 4 months deposit, 4 months, 3 months based upon the rent. So 3 months rent to be paid as deposit for any wear and tear in the house or in any accommodation that is given by the landlord to the tenant. If that deposit is of a refundable nature, means after the tenant vacate the premise, the deposit will be refunded to the tenant. In that case, no TDS is liable to be deducted. But if that security deposit is a non-refundable deposit, then on that amount the TDS is liable to be deducted. This is a very important example just to clear up the basics. Let's suppose there is an office rent and it's on per month basis. The first case is the rent is 15,000. So per annum rent is 1,80,000. 194I limit is 2,40,000 and no TDS will be deducted because it's not crossing the threshold limit. Case 2, the per month rent is 20,000. Per annum is 2,40,000. 194I limit is 240. On the exact matching of limit, the TDS is not deducted. 1 rupee above means 2,40,001 rupees is there, then TDS is liable to be deducted on the whole amount. In this case, again, TDS is not liable to be deducted. Case 3 is 25,000 rent. Per annum will be 3 lakh. Limit is 240. TDS is deducted 10% of 25,000. This last case is 30,000 is the rent and the agreement was taken on 1st of November. So ideally 5 months are completed. November, December, January, February and March. So 30,000 into 5 is 150. In that particular year, the threshold limit is not crossed and so no TDS will be deducted. Next section which we will be talking about is section 194A, which is TDS on payment of transfer of certain immovable property. This is quite a very well-known section, I must say, because if anyone has deal in any property whose value was more than 50 lakh rupees, then this section come into existence and the bank person or the person who is selling you, the CA of that person must be asking for a form known as 26QB. So whenever there is a purchase of any immovable property, the deductor is the purchaser, means the person who is buying the property, and deductee is the seller who is selling the property, and the seller needs to be a resident of India. Rate is 1%. If PAN is not available, then 20%. Threshold limit is 50 lakh. So it's not 5 lakh, it is 50 lakh rupees. No TDS if the sale is of agricultural land, sale is by a non-resident person, or sale is covered under section 194 LA. What is 194 LA? Will cover in this series only, this video only. Now, if two buyers are there, means more than one buyer is there, and the amount is more than 50 lakh rupees, then TDS is liable to be deducted. If more than one seller is there and the amount is more than 50 lakh rupees, then also TDS is liable to be deducted. We have a special return and certificate series for some special sections of TDS. So in this case, there is no requirement of TAN also. In all the other sections except 2 to 3 sections in this TDS, TAN is compulsory for the deductor, but for section 194IA, TAN is also not required. So on PAN basis, the TDS is deducted. The name of the form on which the TDS is deducted is 26QB. The name of TDS certificate is form 16B. So there is a requirement in this case. The next section is section 194IB, which is TDS on rent property. So must be wondering, we have already covered a TDS 194I, which was again on the same standard. So what is the difference between these two sections is whatever is not covered under 194I is covered under section 194IB. So simply the deductor they have said is an individual HUF other than those covered under section 194I. Who all were covered under 194I were company, partnership firm, individual HUF greater than turnover 1 crore or receipts more than 50 lakh rupees. Deductee can be any person. Rate is 5% and the threshold limit, there's a twist in this limit, is 50,000 per month. So only very rare cases will be covered in this section. If it is a company, it's 100% covered under 194I, threshold limit 240. 100% covered under 194I, limit should be 240. Proprietorship, if the turnover is more than 1 CR or 50 lakh depending upon the nature of business, the limit is 240. But if the turnover is less than 1 CR or receipts less than 50 lakh, the TDS is 194IB, rate is 5%, limit is 50,000 per month. And for any personal use, the same case, it is 50,000 per month. Return, which is there, this is again same as 194IA. We have a special form for this return, which is form 26QC. This is also known as Challan cum return. And the certificate form is form 16C. Total TDS cannot be exceeded the last month rent. So their total TDS cannot exceed your last month rent. TAN requirement again is not there in this case. What is the due date of deduction? So if I talk about the due date of deduction, what they have said in this section is, let's suppose your year starts from April 20 and ends on 31st March 21. What happens in this is you have taken a rent agreement, let's suppose on 1st of September 2020, and this rent agreement terminates generally after 11 months. So we will consider, let's suppose this agreement is ending somewhere on 31st July 21. So when this TDS is liable to be deducted is earlier of ending of the financial year or ending of the rent agreement, whichever is earlier. If I talk about this financial year, the agreement is not terminating but the financial year is terminating. So we will be deducting TDS at this point. If I talk about financial year 21-22, in this financial year, the financial year is not ending but the rent agreement is terminating. So at this point, TDS is again liable to be deducted. The next section is section 194IC, which is payment under specified agreement. So any person responsible to pay under joint development agreement, deductee is any resident. Date is 10% of SAN paid and PAN not available, then 20%. Deductee has to claim TDS credit in the previous year in which capital gains are taxable. This is something a part of income tax and more of joint development agreements. So this is just a section I'm just briefing about. The next section is 194J, which is TDS on professionals, royalty, technical services, etc. Deductor is again that same series of sections. Deductee is resident. Now there is a lot of confusion in this rates and threshold limit. If you are watching the video and you are very interested, you can just prepare this in a chart form like this also. See, there are 5 particular services covered under section 194J, and these services are: first is a technical service, second is a professional service, third is any royalty paid, fourth is any non-compete fees being paid, fifth is the director fees, right? If I talk about rate, for the first service, the rate is 2%, and for rest of the service, the rate is 10%. Right? For royalty, non-compete fees, director fees, professional service, rate is 10%. But for technical services, rate is 2%. If I talk about the threshold amount, in this threshold limit, on the cutoff limit, you can also say it is individual individual for each service. For technical service, the amount should exceed 30,000. For professional service, the amount should exceed 30,000. Royalty service 30,000, non-compete fees 30,000, but for director fees there is no threshold limit. Even if for to the director a fees of 500 rupees is also paid, then also no TDS is liable to be deducted. So this is what is covered under this. So just a few examples to make the concept clear. Audit fees paid to CA, it's a professional fees 15,000 per quarter. If I talk about the annual limit, it will be 15,000 into 4, which is 60,000. Limit is 30,000. So TDS at the rate 10%, because this is professional fees, it will be deducted. A machine is purchased for rupees 10 lakh. Technical inspection of 45,000 is undertaken. So the limit is 30,000 and the rate will be 2% in this case. The next section is section 194 LA, which was earlier also came into picture. The section is TDS on payment of compensation on compulsory acquisition of a movable property. So if there is any compulsory acquisition by government, so the deductor is person one who is responsible to pay. Deductee is any resident. Rate of TDS is 10% and rate of TDS if PAN is not available is 20%. Threshold limit is 2,50,000. So no TDS deduction, no deduction shall be made under this section where such payment is made in respect of any award or agreement which has been exempted from levy of income tax under section 96 of Right to Fair Compensation and Transparency in Land Acquisition, Rehabilitation and Resettlement Act 2013. Next section we have we have an example. Railway Authorities of India has acquired residential building of Mr. Ajay and paid 5 lakh as compensation. What is the TDS implication? So on 5 lakh, 10% TDS is to be deducted as the amount was more than 2,50,000. Section 194M is TDS on payment on certain sums by individual and HUF. Now this is applicable with effect from 1st of September 2019. Deductor is an individual HUF other than those covered under section 194C, J and H. Quickly revising, 194C is TDS on contracts, 194J is TDS on professional, technical services, non-compete fees, director fees, etc. And 194H is TDS on commission. Deductee is any person, rate is 5% and threshold limit is 50 lakh rupees. Again, it's not 5 lakh, it is 50 lakh. So it's same like if any company, partnership or proprietorship covered under the normal limits, then 194 C, J or H, whatever the case is. If not under those limits or under personal use, 194 M is applicable. We have a separate return and certificate. The form name is form 26QD and certificate name is form 16D. Again, there is no requirement of PAN. PAN is sufficient. Next section is section 194N, which is TDS on cash withdrawal from bank, post office, and it is again applicable from 1st of September 2019. A very important section, if you're going for any bank audit or something, this section again is very crucial to be checked upon, and in individual perspective also this is very important section. Deductor is a banking company and cooperative society engaged in the business of banking or post office. Deductee is resident or non-resident. Two types of rates are there, 2% and 5%. Threshold limit is 20 lakh 1 CR. What this section says about this? See, if the individual person or the deductee's return is not filed for 3 previous years, I'm saying for consecutive 3 previous years, the return ITR is not filed and the cash withdrawal is exceeding rupees 1 CR. It means the return is filed. The first case is that the return is filed for 3 years and the cash withdrawal is exceeding 1 CR. This is the only section which says when the threshold limit is exceeding, on the excess amount the TDS is to be deducted, not on the whole amount, right? In excess of 1 CR. Let's suppose the withdrawal in cash from a particular bank of a deductee is 1 crore 10 lakh rupees. So on that excess 10 lakh rupees, the rate of TDS is 2%. If no return is filed for 3 previous years, for the last 3 previous years, no return is filed and the cash withdrawal is more than 20 lakh but up to rupees 1 CR, then the rate is 2%, and more than 1 CR, in excess of 1 CR, the rate will be 5%. For example, the withdrawal in this case is 1 crore 10 lakh rupees. So for 20 lakh to 1 crore means for 80 lakh rupees the rate is 2%, and more than 1 CR, the 10 lakh extra rupees, the rate will be 5%. This is quite a very important section. No TDS deduction in following cases. No TDS shall be deducted if amount is withdrawn from the bank or post office by following recipients. So the recipients can be central bank, cooperative bank, post office, banking correspondents, white label ATM operators, other person notified by government in consultation with the Reserve Bank of India. Applicability when amount withdrawn from different banks. So this 1 CR is not to be aggregated from all the branches. All the branches means from the same bank. For example, if there are two bank accounts a person carry, one is in HDFC bank and one is in SBI bank. So withdrawal from HDFC will be counted separate and withdrawal from SBI will be counted separate. So if someone has filed the last 3 ITRs and withdrawing from HDFC bank 60 lakh rupees in the year and from SBI bank 60 lakh rupees in a year, you do not need to aggregate and make it 1.2 CR and TDS is liable to be deducted. No. So for a particular bank, a limit is checked on individuality basis, not on aggregate basis. Next section is section 194O, which is TDS on payment made to e-commerce participants. For nowadays in COVID-19, everyone is very much familiar with the online portal. So this is applicable from 1st of October 2020. E-commerce company, everyone is very much aware. These are Amazon, Flipkart, etc. The e-commerce company dealing. The customer, goods are sold to the customer. What happens in this is there's a person, seller, or he's a participant who is making or generating a sale through the e-commerce company. Right? The customer is paying to the e-commerce company and the e-commerce company is paying to the e-commerce participant, but the goods are directly delivered to the customer through the e-commerce participant, means the dealers or the sellers. So when the e-commerce company is paying to the e-commerce participant the amount of commission. So what this amount of commission is? So the threshold limit is 5 lakh. The commission paid is more than 5 lakh or 5 lakh and above. So whenever the limit is crossed, the e-commerce operator, the e-commerce companies are liable to deduct. For the e-commerce participant, the rate is 1%, and if PAN is not provided by the e-commerce participant, then the rate is 5%. So in this case, again, it is 5%, not 20%. Only 2 or 3 sections are there which you have to very mind carefully. Next section is section 194P, which is recently introduced under the Finance Bill 2021, which is TDS in case of specified senior citizen applicable from 1st of April 2021. Deductor is a banking company. Deductor is a senior citizen 75 years or more. Rate of TDS is at the slab rate, and conditions. The important conditions are that the total income includes pension and interest income. For the senior citizens having aged more than 75 years or more, the income is only derived from pension or interest income and the deductee has given a declaration, then TDS is liable to be deducted at a slab rate. Section 194Q, which is TDS on purchase of goods. This is a replica of section 206C of TCS. So this is applicable with effect from 1st of July 2021. Now deductor is buyer on purchase of goods if his previous year turnover exceeds 10 CR and the deductee is seller. Rate is 0.1%. PAN not provided 5%. Threshold limit is 50 lakh. Purchase in excess of 50 lakh. No TDS if TDS is liable to be deducted under, TCS is liable to be deducted under section 206 C1H. Just giving a brief difference between the two. So one is TDS on purchase of goods. Whenever a person is purchasing goods, at that time the seller is liable to, the buyer is liable to deduct TDS, and in case of TCS, the seller is liable to collect TCS. So overriding section will be section 194Q. Liable to deduct in case of TDS, buyer; in case of TCS, seller. Turnover, for the buyer it should exceed 10 CR, and for the seller it should exceed again 10 CR. Applicability, it's a recently introduced section applicable from 1st July 2021, and the TCS was introduced from 1st of October 2020. Threshold limit is if the purchase is in excess of 50 lakh and if the sale is in excess of 50 lakh. Liability, bill or payment, whichever is earlier, as normally we deduct TDS, and in case of TCS, at the time of receipt. Rate is same, 0.1%, 0.1%, PAN not available 5%, but in case of TCS it is 1%. Not applicable to transaction on which TCS is applicable under section 206C other than 206C1. It means this section, TCS on sale of goods. And in case of TCS, where TDS has been deducted under section 194Q, this section will not apply. TAN is required in both the cases. Return is 26Q and TCS 27EQ. TDS certificate is 16A for TDS and TCS 27D, the normal ones. Just for comparison purpose, if the transaction value is of 55 lakh between the buyer and the seller, and the turnover of the buyer is 6 CR and the turnover of the seller is 12 CR, so TCS will apply, as the both condition needs to be satisfied. One is for the transaction value, another is the turnover of the seller or the buyer. Second situation is the transaction is of 55 lakh, the buyer turnover is 112 crore, seller is 6 CR, then section applicable will be 194Q. The next situation is the transaction value is 55 lakh, both buyer and seller turnover is exceeding, so the TDS will override TCS and TDS will be deducted. Situation 4 is transaction value is 55 lakh and the buyer or the seller turnover is not exceeding 10 CR, so this TDS is not liable to be deducted. The last situation is the turnover is exceeding in both the cases, but the transaction value is only 45 lakh. In short, what I mean to say is that both the conditions need to be satisfied. The first condition, turnover exceed. Second condition, the transaction value should be more than 50 lakh rupees. So this was all for the sections and rates which are applicable in TDS. I really hope that you liked the video. It's a humble request. If you really like the video, then please press the black thumb below. And what I have noticed is the people who have not subscribed the channel are more than who subscribe the channel. I really request you, if you really like the videos, then please subscribe to my channel for future updates. Thank you very much. आज की वीडियो का जो ये टॉपिक है ये आपको मेरी वेबसाइट www.voxcop.com पर मिल जाएगा। आप चाहो तो यहाँ पे आके प्रैक्टिकल ट्रेनिंग क्लासेस इन एनी सब्जेक्ट, जीएसटी, टीडीएस, इनकम टैक्स, पेरोल, बैलेंस शीट फाइनलाइजेशन, किसी भी टॉपिक पे यहाँ पे रजिस्टर कर सकते हो। और हर कोर्स जो है 2 लेवल्स पे है, एक बेसिक है और एक एडवांस है, तो आप अपनी कन्वीनियंस के हिसाब से बेसिक या फिर एडवांस लेवल या मॉड्यूल सेलेक्ट करके प्रोसीड कर सकते हो। अगर आपको मेरी वीडियो पसंद आई हो तो उसको प्लीज़ लाइक कर देना और चैनल को सब्सक्राइब करना फॉर फ्यूचर अपडेट्स एंड नोटिफिकेशंस। थैंक यू वेरी मच।